day.
This segment is sponsored by Realtor Tammy Sutherland of Kcaa and Realty World Premier, where she makes it her business to put happy people in happy homes. Here's what people are saying day after day.
Tammy did way more than we ever expected in a real estate agent. Without Tammy, we would still be renting.
I didn't think we'd ever find a house we loved, but with Tammy's help, we did. Now I get to mow the lawn every weekend. But then again, that's why we had kids. Brandon!
She made so much extra effort to sell our house and make sure that we understood every step of the way. Tammy always had our best interests at heart. I would highly recommend her.
So, if you want your perfect house, you can find Tammy Sutherland at Realty World Premier. Whether you're looking to buy or sell, it's homesbytammy.net or on Facebook at facebook.com/Realtor Tammy Sutherland. You can also reach her by phone at 909-556-2094. That's 909-556-2094.
Kcaa.
Are you having trouble getting a good night's sleep? Is it affecting your work and personal life? Do you snore so loud you rattle the walls? Well, South Pacific Sleep Lab can help you out. South Pacific Sleep Labs will provide you with a personal sleep study to help you find out how to get a great night of rest. Snoring, weight gain, health issues, and stress are some of the contributing factors for a lack of sleep. South Pacific Sleep Lab will do a complete study, including evaluating you with an overnight study of your sleep patterns. With locations in Glendora, Hawthorne, Encino, and Los Angeles, South Pacific Sleep Labs can provide you with the help you need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call 310-999-1887 to schedule your appointment today. That's 310-999-1887. Start resting easy and sleeping sound today.
This is Dick from Carpet Masters. Carpet Masters has been serving the Inland Empire for over 60 years. We are locally owned and operated by the Stevens family. We not only clean carpet and furniture, we clean many loose rugs, including Oriental rugs. Oriental rugs are cleaned in our modern facility where the fringes are cleaned by hand, then hung in our modern facility to dry. We do not use steam cleaning to clean your fine furniture. Furniture is cleaned by hand using the same absorption cleaning used in the White House. Some furniture we bring into our plant to clean properly. We normally use 2 men on each cleaning job using the extraction method. There is nothing that would clean carpet better for our customers. Our job is to clean properly with quality first. Google Carpet Masters San Bernardino and give us a call, or go to carpetmasterssocal.com.
Del Walmsley here. The first thing you're going to have to learn is that until you stop expecting our politicians or anyone else to change your life isn't going to change. The only person who can change your life is you, but you need to know how. Listen to my show, the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. Right here on Kcaa, now broadcasting on 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, the stations that leave no listener behind.
E-Digits. Lock them in for more information, recreation, and guaranteed fun. Kcaa.
I'm sick and tired of hearing things from uptight, short-sighted, narrow-minded hypocrites. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth.
Good morning, everyone. Great to have you here with us today on another episode of our show, The Truth Only Show. Great to have you here. I know we have some new listeners today, so for the first time you're going to listen to a show that is all about you. That's something that's a little different. This show is all about you. Every single week is what we're doing. What we're doing is talking about you, and great to have you here with us today. And today, I just want to let you know that for all you that follow us all the time, you realize that you can see that Michael's not here with us today. Instead, we have a special guest with us today. His name is also Michael. We have Michael Garrity with us today. And what he is, he's a licensed family therapist. And he's also a yoga and meditation teacher. So you're going to learn a lot today, something very important. You're going to learn about meditation. So, and I know everyone can use it because I know it's very important. But before we get started here, we're going to bring on Michael after the break. So stay tuned with us. And remember, you're listening to KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. And just to remind some of you and some of you new listeners out there what we're about. What we teach here is human nature, something that is so important, so vital. Actually, think about this. How would you like to be able to take control of your own life? You know, because of your nature, because of your nature, you can take control of everything in your life. You can experience all the peace, the joy, the happiness, prosperity, everything that you would love to enjoy. You can do it by learning about your true nature. And I just want to remind you, the only tool that you have to bring that all about is your mind. In other words, your thought world. That's the only tool that you have to bring about all the changes that you would love to bring about in your life. So important, human nature. Now, our topic today is going to be meditation. I don't know if there's anything any more important than meditation than changing your life. That's when you really get down to focusing on the power that you have within you, and the power that you have within you is your thought process. Whatever you think about, whether you realize it or not, you are bringing about the experiences in your life. So it is very important to learn to take control of everything in your life. And that is only done by the only tool that you do have to take control of your life is with your mind. So we thought it was very important to bring up meditation. Because meditation, what it really is your hidden power. That's what it is. It's a hidden power that you have. You may have used it at times. Some of you may have used it more than others. But actually, in reality, everybody's meditating, and I think when we get through here with today, I think you're going to realize what I'm talking about, why everybody at one time or another meditates. And through meditation, I'm going to have to go into a little more explanation, but you can experience good, but you can also experience the negative and not even be aware of what you're doing. So meditation is very important. Okay, and just something that I want you to consider, something to really take into consideration. Now, I know that the great teachers have taught meditation. I know that. And the reason I say that is, I'm going to give you a couple examples. Buddha and Jesus both taught meditation, okay? Both of them were teaching meditation because they knew that it was the hidden power that you have within you. We are not going to talk religion today, and for those of you that have, your religious friends or whatever, I want you to tell them to take this into consideration, as if just to see that how important meditation is. If you open up the Bible and read Matthew 6, verse 5, you will see what the great teacher said about that. He said, "Do not be as the hypocrites who stand in the synagogues praying and on the street corners, because that's the only reward you are going to get." I want you to think about that. And then if you continue on and read Matthew 6, verse 6, it says, he said, "When you pray, pray in secret, and your Father will reward you openly. Now, what that means to me, that's a calling telling you to meditate. He's telling you when you pray in secret. I don't know how much clearer that can be. Think about it. I want you to consider that when we talk about meditation today. Now, there are two important principles for you to understand when we're talking about meditation. The first thing I want you to, principle I want you to understand is reasoning. Okay? And the second principle I want you to understand is feelings. Very important things that you need to understand about your own life. Reasoning. Let's go into reasoning. What reasoning does, or we can say your intellect, but let's look at it as reasoning. Reasoning analyzes and dissects. Okay? Reasoning is very important, of course. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say there is anything wrong with reasoning, but you got to consider what you have been doing with your own life. Okay? That's number one. Because reasoning only analyzes and dissects. Now, the other principle is feelings. Feelings build or break down. I'm going to repeat that. Feelings either build or break down. Now, let me explain that a little more. How many of you have ever taken time? I'm sure most all of you have. I know I've done this. I have looked back. At times I've looked back at my life and I've thought, you know, I could have done something different. My life would have been different. I could have done this and this would have happened, you know, or I could have done that and I know my life would have gone in a different direction. I know most all of us have done that, right? And I'm not trying to tell you, you know, because I used to do that. I've done it before myself. I no longer do that anymore because I realize now there is nothing I can do to change my past. But I want you to think about your past, what you were really doing when now that you've gone back and you look at your past, you see that I could have done this, my life would have been different. The reason your life went in the direction that it did was because you were reasoning. In other words, you were only analyzing and dissecting. And analyzing and dissecting is fine. But it's so much more powerful when you put in feeling behind it. Because just analyzing and dissecting is very limited to what you can accomplish. And let me say why. Because the other principle, which is feelings build or destroy, break down or destroy. Now, what we're talking about here, when we're talking about reasoning, we're talking about the intellect. The intellect is important, like I said. Together with feelings, now you can use the hidden power that you have within you. But just the intellect and reasoning on its own is very limited. You can learn how to do a lot of things, that's for sure. But you can build your life by reasoning and then putting a feeling behind it. What I'm talking about here is meditation. When you go within yourself, spend your quiet time within yourself, and you figure you reason and you figure you want to experience greater things in your life. You want to experience more good. And by what we have talked about other times on this show is that self-talk in meditation. In other words, I'll give you an example. Things are great in my life. My relationships are beautiful. I am prosperous. There is joy, happiness in my life. When you go into your meditation and speak those words, what you are doing in reality is you're making yourself feel those things. You're making yourself feel what you want to feel. What you are doing in reality is leading your subconscious mind. What you are doing, you are beginning to create those experiences in your life. Is what you're doing. You are planting the seeds to experience greater things. That's why feeling, I said, builds or destroys. And now, I just talked about how feelings can create great experiences, better relationships through your meditation by speaking those words to yourself, speaking the good into your life. But I want you to think about this. What we're really talking about here is removing the negative feelings. How many times do you think about negative feelings? That's what I meant by meditation. When you are alone and you are thinking negative things about your life, what you are doing in reality is breaking down and drawing more negative into your life. So what you are doing in reality is you are really meditating on the negative. So if you are experiencing a lot of negative things, it's because you are using this power of feeling, but you're drawing the negative into your life. Anytime you are thinking about negative experiences, you are creating more of the same. You are creating that which you dread. But by not realizing what you are doing, you will continue to experience more and more negative. So the idea is to get the negative out of your thinking process. And how do you do that? Through meditation. You do it through meditation by thinking and speaking good, the affirmative, and making yourself feel good about your life, making yourself feel good about your future. And what you are doing now in reality is you are beginning to create that new future for yourself. That is what's going on. That's what we're talking about here. Is taking time every day to make yourself feel what you want to feel. And when you make yourself feel what you want to feel, you can make yourself feel good about the direction of your life, where it is headed. Think about it. You are creating a future. In the past, what you were doing, going back to what I said before, in the past what you were doing, you were reasoning your life. And then now you look back and you wonder, I could have done this and I could have done that, and I would have experienced much greater things than I do now, that I experienced through my life. Well, the point is this: are you going to continue on with the rest of your life and just reason and think, well, maybe I do this, maybe I'll do that, maybe that if I do this and if I do that, this will happen, and this, you're going to continue to reason, and then 10, 15, 20 years from now, you're going to look back again and said, you know what, if I would have done this, my life would have been better. Why don't you just stop that now? Why don't you just realize that the kind of future and life that you would love to live, you can begin to do it now by meditation and making yourself feel that you are great, feel that you are creative, feel that you can create a beautiful life for yourself through meditation by making yourself feel it. When you make yourself feel it, you are going to start heading in that direction. Life will start drawing all the things that you need to accomplish whatever it is you would love to accomplish and love to feel. That way, when 10, 15, 20 years go by, you will never look back and regret what you had done in your last 20, 30, 40 years. Because now you are going to be headed in a much better direction. And believe me, when you make yourself feel that life is good, life is beautiful, life is wonderful through meditation, you are going to begin to experience things that you can't even imagine. Much greater things that you could even reason for yourself. Things that you could, life will bring about things that you could have never imagined for yourself. I know that to be true. I know that now to be true. You will begin to experience greater things that you could ever think of yourself. Life knows more than you do. There is something in this life. There is something greater in this life. There is a greater intelligence. People refer to it as many different things. They refer to it as the universal mind, the infinite mind, the divine mind. Call it whatever you want. We do have access to a thought world that is greater than your thought world and mine. And the only way you are going to begin to feel it and experience it is through meditation. Meditating and experiencing what we're talking about here is feeling, is making yourself feel like you're creative. Make yourself feel that you can accomplish great things. Make yourself feel that life is beautiful. Make yourself feel like you can have beautiful relationships. Because once you begin to feel it, you will begin to believe it. And then eventually you will know that this is all true. Because that is your true nature. Meditation, as I said earlier, is the hidden power that you have within yourself. Going outside of yourself, belonging to these large groups and following groups is very limited. The power that you have is within you. I'm not the first person that has ever said that to you. I'm sure you have heard it before. But I think maybe now that it's time that you start trying some of these principles that we teach here on this show. And I want to remind you, if you've been following us for a couple years now, this is all available to you for free of charge. I don't know if you can go anywhere else and find that. Think about it. Don't go away. We're going to take a short break, and I want to remind you, you're listening to the Truth Only Show. You can find us at truthonlyshow.com, KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. And I want to remind you that we have a very special guest here with us today, is Mr. Michael Garrity, and he's a licensed family therapist, yoga, and meditation teacher. Don't go away. We're going to learn a little bit more about this hidden power that you have within yourself. We'll be right back.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now. The pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue sky. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day.
Okay, welcome back. Great to be here with you again. Here you are. I want to remind all of you that are just new to us, you're listening to the Truth Only Show. We're at truthonlyshow.com. And we're here on KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. And I want to remind you that I have a special guest here with us today, Mr. Michael Garrity. And as I said earlier, he's a licensed family therapist, yoga, and meditation teacher. Michael, thank you very much for being here with us today.
Well, you're welcome, David.
Yeah, it's great to have you. As you know, Michael wasn't able to be here with us today, but great substitution and somebody that knows exactly what we're talking about today on the subject. Michael, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, as much as you would like, about your past, how you got into these teachings that you teach now?
Okay, sure. I've been practicing meditation for like 30 some years now.
Oh, yeah.
I started actually in 1981. I met a meditation teacher from the East, from India, named Swami Niranjan Saraswati.
Was that here, or did you go to India, or what?
Well, I met him first here in California, in San Jose.
Yeah.
And I studied yoga and meditation with him. And then in 1983, went to India.
Oh, that must be interesting. Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I stayed in an ashram there the Bihar School of Yoga, and learned basically what we learned is how to make meditation your life. So when you're working, when you're doing any of your daily activities, you can be meditating as well. And then, of course, sitting in meditation. Yoga itself, the asanas are a moving meditation. And it was just a wonderful experience. I spent 3 months there, and it was very transformative. Got into a very deep place of peace and very happy. Came back to Los Angeles, and it was crazy.
Oh, okay. Michael, before you move ahead, you said something that I thought was interesting, because a lot of people think about meditation that you have to be sitting still, but now you're talking about doing it as you're active while you're moving around. And
it's a quality. It's about awareness, David, and it's about bringing that quality of awareness into your life.
What do you mean by awareness?
Well, it's being awareness of being in the moment, being present in your life, being aware of what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you're feeling.
In other words, are you talking about stopping your mind from just racing, or what is that? Is that what you mean by?
Well,
because a lot of people, I think a lot of people just allow their mind to just be racing on all kinds of things, right?
Right. Yeah. Our minds kind of go on automatic pilot a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And awareness is about not doing that, or learning not to do that.
Learning to slow it down a little bit.
A lot of the negativity, the depression, the fear, the anger that we have is due to these repetitive thoughts, that we have in our minds, these repetitive beliefs. And if you can bring those into awareness, you can start to change them.
Oh, okay. So basically, I just want to understand. So it's basically just slowing your mind down and being aware of what you're thinking about, then, which is.
Yeah, that's an important part of it. And then, as you said, then you can begin to create intentions for yourself too.
Right.
To make changes.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So so you can actually do that while you're active, while you're walking, or while you're actually driving your car, because I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I've said this before to some people, and I said I actually meditate while I'm driving.
Sure. Yeah.
And
you got to keep your eyes open, though, right?
Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. Yeah, but no, I actually meditate when I'm driving. Actually, that's some of the time, because sometimes I'll spend an hour on the road, and I spend most of the time meditating. But I'm aware of everything that's going around me. I'm still conscious of everything that is happening. So, but that's what you're talking about here, right?
Sure. Yeah.
What would you call that type of meditation? Did you?
Well, in the yoga tradition, it's referred to as karma yoga.
Karma yoga?
Karma yoga, which is just means active meditation.
Oh, okay.
Meditation in action. Yeah.
Okay, so how many different types of yoga are you aware of, or do you feel exist? How many different types are there?
Oh, there are quite a few. There are the four main the four main branches of yoga that I learned about are called karma yoga, which is the yoga in action, often referred to as selfless service, and then there is Raja yoga, which is the path of meditation, the path of concentration. That's where you sit and practice meditation. Then there's devotional yoga, bhakti yoga, which is the path of devotion. And then there is Gyan Yoga, which is the path of wisdom.
Oh, okay. So each, it sounds to me like each one of those is to accomplish something a little different, right? In other words, you're focused on accomplishing different things. In other words, they serve different purposes. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think they all kind of converge as one goal, which is just the which is the tuning into, realizing, experiencing our true nature, which is well, it's beyond ego, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we understand that. Okay. Maybe why don't you explain that a little bit? What do you mean beyond ego?
Well, I'll resort to some technical terms from Sanskrit, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
In the yoga tradition, we say that there are different aspects of our being. There's the ego, which is the person that we kind of are conditioned to be.
The person that many think they are, right?
Right. Yeah,
Think
that's
they
a,
are.
well, yeah, and it's a person that we're taught, you know, that
Right.
we're taught to believe that we are.
Right.
Deeper than that is what in yoga's terms is called the Atman, which is we might call it the soul or the inner self, and that's our true self.
Right.
And there's two components of that Atman. There's the Jivatman. Jivatman is the individualized self, the individualized soul. And then there is the just Atman, which is the universal self.
Okay.
And we are actually once we go deep enough into meditation, the realization is that we are one with that universal self.
Which is everyone, right?
Yeah.
Which is
everyone and everything.
Everyone and everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now what you just mentioned right there, because I know a lot of terms. They're just terms, okay? Terms
Right.
that we use, like on this show that I've used before, is we're talking about the universal mind, the infinite mind,
Right.
the divine mind, however people want it. The best way I've always said is to think about it is what works best for you. But there is such a thing that does exist. The universal, the infinite. I know does exist. Yeah, which is we can say the greater mind. I guess it's another way of referring to it. So when you when in the meditative process that you're talking about, are you what you're really referring to is tapping into that greater mind?
Well, I think you go through stages in the process. You start to tap into that universal mind, and you start to. It's a source of inspiration, right? It's a source of wisdom. I know when I came back from India, and I lived at an ashram here in the United States for a while in the desert.
Say that again. How do you pronounce that?
An ashram. That's a yoga community.
Oh, okay.
And but what I found most interesting is when I left that. I had this impulse. My wife and I left the community, and I went to a convention, transpersonal psychology, and this inspiration, this connection came through me, and within a couple years from there, I had my master's degree in psychology. And
okay, so you went to a university, and then you got your master's in psychology.
Yeah.
That did this yoga and meditation it helped you and guide you and leaded you to that path, or what? Or was it the other way around? Which
we were talking about tapping into that divine guidance, that divine mind, and that divine guidance. And I was trying to use that to illustrate kind of how that happened in my life at that time.
Okay.
When I left that ashram, basically my wife and I were broke.
Okay.
And I didn't know where I was going with my life, and that inspiration just kind of came through. It appeared in my life and gave me a direction, gave me an education and a career, and
I understand. I understand what you're saying. I can relate to that because what we teach on this show is that's why it's called Truth Only Show, because there are just some things that are true about all of us. You know, what you're talking about right now, everything, what you're talking about right now, meditation that can relax you and guide you to something greater, isn't that available to everyone?
Of course, yeah.
So that is part of our nature, right?
Well, yeah, it is our nature,
Right. Okay. You even said it better than I did. It is our nature, right? So that's what, you know, we use different terms on this show. I think that's all we're doing, just using different terms, but we're saying the same thing. Now, I've learned from all my years of meditation and studying and reading, basically, it's all the same. All the great teachers were basically teaching the same thing. That's what I've discovered. I mean, let's take Jesus and Buddha. I don't see much difference in what they were teaching, only in the method or whatever that they used, the terminology or whatever it was. I don't see much difference at all in what they were teaching. They were teaching human nature.
Well, they were teaching that our true nature is loving and kind and compassionate.
Yeah,
and wise and joyful, right?
Right, and yeah, that's very true, and like I said, it's available to everyone, right? There's nobody that is excluded from that. So that has to be our nature,
right?
Yeah. So anyway, so continue on, and so when you were after you got your psychology degree. That took you in another slightly different direction, right?
Yeah. Well, it certainly gave me a direction in my life to in terms of an avenue to help people and of course to make a living and support my family.
Yeah, that always helps.
Yeah. But I've always been interested in. I wrote my master's thesis on the Eastern and Western views of psychology and how to combine them and integrate them.
From the Eastern and Western.
Yeah. So in other words, bringing yoga and meditation into the practice of psychology that we use, and that's becoming much more popular now, where mindfulness is becoming a treatment modality, really, in therapy for helping with depression, for anxiety, and
And do you think how many years back was it that maybe what psychology wasn't quite as much in tune with what you're talking about now? Because you're saying that's starting to happen much more even in psychology, right?
Right. Yeah.
So how far back can you say maybe they weren't really looking into this meditative practices? I'm sure some were. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure some psychologists were, but
that's been talked about since probably the 1970s, but it's only recently that a lot of research is being done, especially research on the brain, and the effect of meditation on the brain. It's really wonderful how they can show that, for instance, practicing mindfulness meditation helps develop the prefrontal cortex of the brain,
right?
Which is so it makes us it increases our ability for abstract thinking, for morality, for compassion, those kinds of things. So it's and then other types of meditation will cause changes in other parts of the brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I've listened to some scientists now that that do study the brain, and it's very interesting how they talk about how they get people to think a certain way and it affects a certain part of the brain, and they think another way and affects another part of the brain. It's very interesting how much they're discovering about the brain itself,
Right, fascinating stuff.
Yeah, so, well, Mike, we're going to take a little short break here, and for all of you that just tuned in, we have with us today Mr. Michael Garrity, And we'll be right back. We've been having a discussion on meditation, and I want to remind you, you're listening to the Truth Only Show. You can find us at trutholyshow.com. And here on Kcaa 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
There's nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. There's nothing you can make that can't be made. No one you can save that can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be in time. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. There's nothing you can know that isn't known. Nothing you can see that isn't shown. Nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. 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 Love is all you need.
Welcome back, everyone. Great to have you here with us today on Truth Only Show, Kcaa 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. And I want to remind you, for those of you that tuned in late with us, we have a special guest with us today. My usual co-host and producer, Michael's not with us today, but we have another Michael here, Mr. Michael Garrity, licensed family therapist, yoga and meditation teacher. And Michael, thanks again for being with us, and been a great show
welcome,
so
David.
far. You've
Great to be here.
I've learned a lot myself about meditation. So, Michael, if you don't mind, I'd like to read a couple of definitions of meditation that I found online.
Okay.
One of the first ones I found, but I didn't get the name of which source it came from. But anyway, it says it's a written or spoken discourse expressing considered thoughts on a subject. Okay. And the second one I got from Merriam-Webster. It's to engage in mental exercise such as concentration on one's breathing or repetition of a mantra for the purpose of reaching a heightened level of spiritual awareness, and to focus on one's thoughts, reflect or ponder over something. Something from Merriam-Webster. But anyways, Yeah, Michael, I want to ask you a little bit more, about you already mentioned some of the successes that you've gotten from meditation. Like you said, it guided you to go on to school, gave you a direction in life, and you went on to school and got your master's in psychology. But can you, tell us a little bit more about some of the successes you've had with meditation? Maybe in your family therapy or?
Well, yeah, I work with a particular meditation technique, which is called Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is it's a guided practice of deep relaxation and inner awareness, and I found it very helpful for a number of people. I had one woman come to my office who had been suffering from insomnia for years. I mean, she just was unable to sleep and miserable because of it. And I taught her the Yoga Nidra technique there in my office, and she said she went home and had the first full night's sleep that she'd had in years.
Wow.
So yeah, sometimes it's just incredible how effective stuff can be. Yeah.
What do you think it is that people have? Like I said, we were talking about earlier, sometimes people, their mind just keeps running and they haven't figured out how to stop it. Like you said, an automatic pilot, and it's the automatic pilot really that doesn't let you sleep, because I know we've all experienced that.
Sure, yeah.
So, sometimes coffee does that to me. Yeah, I drink coffee late at night. That's it. My mind's on automatic.
Oh yeah, that's not a good idea. Drinking coffee at night, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, but for some people it doesn't affect. But that lady now that you're talking about, do you think maybe that's what could have happened with her? You taught her how to relax her mind, and she was able to sleep. Is that?
That seems to be what happened. I think one thing to be careful about though is this idea that our mind shouldn't be racing, because I have people come to me and they say, I can't meditate because my mind's racing all the time, or I can't stop my mind. And that's actually a fallacy, and that's actually something that gets in the way if you believe that. But because what I tell people to do is just sit quietly and observe your mind racing.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's a practice of mindfulness. Oh. Instead of trying to control the mind, just observe it, and what you find is that after several minutes, your mind slows down on its own.
Yeah, that's
because
interesting.
You don't fight it. You just become. That's the awareness that we were talking about before. Yeah. Just being an observer, being a witness, saying, okay, I observe that my mind is racing.
Yeah, it's interesting how you say that. I guess I think there's different ways of accomplishing sometimes the same thing, because like when people tell me, well, I can't do this because of this and this and that, and they say, well, what do you think I should do? And the first thing I say is, first of all, stop saying that. That's number one. Stop saying it. Say the opposite.
Stop reinforcing the I can't do it part.
Right. Yeah, and I tell them to say the opposite. Mm-hmm. I can. My mind is relaxed. Everything is great. My life is great. My mind is relaxed all the time. And you'd be surprised at how, when you begin to do that, that begins to happen.
Yeah.
So,
we're talking there really about the power of suggestion, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Sure.
When you tell yourself, if you keep saying to yourself that this happens to me all the time, or if I do this, this happens, well, its first step is just stop saying it and say the opposite. And you will begin to experience the opposite. It might take a little time, but you will begin to experience the opposite. So.
Well, the first step is like we were talking. The first step is just to be aware that you're doing that, right?
Right.
To say that you're, when the first step to counter negative thinking is to be aware of just how often we're having negative thoughts, and then we can start to replace them with something else.
Yeah. No, well, that's very very interesting. So, do you really, what do you think now about the greatest thing that there is? Because I mentioned it earlier. I talked about, I think it's the great hidden power that we have within us. Do you agree with that? That is probably one of the greatest hidden powers that we have is meditation.
Is meditation, yeah.
You think there's, I don't think there's anything greater that we can do, anything greater that we have access to as far as accomplishing and changing anything in your life. Do you feel the same way?
Oh, and I think, yeah, it's the most powerful tool that we have. Well, what it is, it's accessing the power within us, isn't it? Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And we're actually very powerful beings.
Right.
But somehow we've come to believe, or some of us have come to believe, that we're not powerful, right?
Yeah.
That we're weak and helpless.
Right.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
given up the power that we have
Yeah.
by believing that about ourselves.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, no, it's I don't know what can be any greater if for people to take seriously. You know what I think? There's too many. There's too much going on about. Especially in religion, they kind of put down meditation, like if it's some kind of, I don't know, what, you know, give it a kind of a negative idea, give people a negative idea about meditation, think that it's only for Buddhists, you know, or something like that. It's totally wrong.
No, it's for everybody, isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
for everybody,
Yeah.
yes. And
I did I taught a little class on mindfulness meditation for a clinical group one time, and one of the gentlemen there was a devout Christian, and he initially was a little resistant to it, but afterwards he told me that he felt like the meditation would help him to pray better.
Exactly.
You know? And I think that was really.
Well, Michael, we're just about out of time here, and I want to thank you, my friend, for being here with us today.
Oh,
and
great
it
to
was
be here. Thanks,
great.
Dave.
You really helped. I know a lot of our listeners. I know they got a big lot of benefit from what you.
Well, I hope
what
so.
you taught here today, and great. We'd love to have you back again another time. I just want to remind you, this is Michael Garrity that was with us here today on the Truth Only Show. And I want to welcome all of you again. We'll come back, tell a friend about us. But there's something very important that I always, each week, I'm letting you know about. And I want to remind you that if you have or you know anyone that has any type of problems with their heart, fast heartbeat, slow heartbeat, irregular heartbeat, experiencing dizziness or anything like, I highly recommend the Dr. Trong Duong. He's an amazing, up with the latest technologies on the heart. He's an electrophysiologist, and his number is 877-773-8664. I'm going to repeat that. 877-773-8664. And I want to remind you, you're listening to the David Paul Band. Recommend you go to davidpaulmusic.com. Check out the calendar for a fantastic night of entertainment. You will not be disappointed. And thank you all for being with us, and we will see you next week.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.